Welcome to episode 24 of the Wiley Wire. This is a very important episode. If you haven't heard, 8 p.m. deadline for Iran to make a deal with the United States, or else. We'll go over Trump's posts on social media, what this really means going forward. We'll cover that. Also, some positive news with the astronauts at Artemis, especially Victor Glover, has come out 2 times before the mission and during the mission with some powerful statements that I completely agree with. Just awesome to see an American not only be brave in space, but also brave with his words. We'll also cover some NBA news. Looks like the NBA has a good, strong future going forward. It's nice to see. I like some of the players. We'll talk about that. And also fake accounts on social media. You see it all the time. Parody accounts. You don't really know they're parody until you actually have to click in the profile and all that. We're going to ask the question, should this be illegal? Welcome to the Wiley Wire. So we're going to jump right into this Iran conflict. And first off, let's go over the rescue of the downed military jet. Both pilots were rescued, and the story goes after the first pilot was rescued, they both parachuted out of the plane, and they're taught what to do. Go as far away from the site as you can and go as high up as you can, which this person did. Bloody, wounded, bleeding. He climbed to like 7,000 feet elevation, hid in like a mountain crevice, and then alerted the United States to his transponder he had, classified transponder, that where he was, his location was given, and they came and rescued him. They said it was one of the greatest. This is from military generals I've listened to now. Some that don't even lean towards Trump said this was the greatest military rescue ever. Period. Not even close to anything else. And it was done precise, on time, and it was not an easy rescue by any means. So hats off to these 2 heroes in our military. Thank God they're home. Thank God they're safe. And I think right now they're in Germany getting kind of like evaluated, and they'll be sent back to the United States. But the part about Trump's speech about it that was, this got me pissed off, because not what Trump said, the fact that the media is so against Trump that you'd put the lives of military members at risk. That's a sickness. That's derangement. You got to look yourself in the mirror and wonder who you are right now. I mean, any president, from Obama to Bush, Clinton, whatever, you don't put your military in harm's way because you don't like the president, or even if you don't like any of the actions he's taking in the war. It doesn't matter. To do that and compromise intel and put somebody that's stranded at risk is insane. So I guess they're going to prosecute the leaker of the information, which I'll tell you what this information is in a second, and they can use that from classified information, and there's a way to do it. So they're going to go after the person that leaked this information. Why this information that was leaked was so important, so detrimental to the mission, was they let Iran know that there was another person still stranded. So something happened out of the White House that was leaked to the media, that there's another pilot out there. And that let Iran know that there was somebody else still out there. which made the mission more difficult, more risky. It was already as risky as it gets. And now Iran's looking for this individual that was rescued, and there was a huge bounty out for him, incentives to go get him. And I have no confirmation of this, but it's sick and sad to say. But some of these evil people that leaked this or in the media and all that wanted this poor individual, this patriot, this military pilot to get caught by Iran so it makes Trump look bad. What would be the other reason why they would leak that? There's no other. There's no other reason. Posts that Trump has talked about, put out there, and I know he got a lot of flack for this one, and I was cringing when I read it. I'll be honest with you. I think he sent it out on Easter. He says, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There'll be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. So when I first read that, I was like, oh no, get the phone away from him. Someone grab the phone. But I know he doesn't write his tweets. He tells the person that to write them and then post them. So they're always his words, from what I've heard. They're always his words. He tells the person to write this exactly the way to write it, and the person's like standing there writing it. After I read it again, I still don't think he should have wrote it the way he wrote it, but it's Donald Trump. That's what he does. That's who he's always been. But the more I was thinking about it before jumping on and start commenting on it and talking about it, I let it set in for a second. And I'm like, what are these negotiations? How are these negotiations going? What does Trump really want? He wants the straits open. And his press conference said, we'll take the straits. We'll take the oil. We'll take it all. No one wants to help. We'll take it. These guys don't want to, Iran doesn't want to come to a deal. We'll take it. They're saying that it's so hard to talk to the Iranian leadership because there really isn't any left. And they don't have access to them. It's hard to speak to them. That's what I heard in the press conference out of Trump's mouth. But then you hear on other news networks, all of them, that they're negotiating, like they're sitting at a round table or they're negotiating over the phone. I don't know how it's going down. They're not telling us. But now that I look at this post, it grabbed my attention. It kind of threw me back a little bit. So I started thinking, I'm like, he wanted to throw them back a little bit. He wanted to show them that he's 100% serious and he's going to do it. What are they going to do? I don't know. People say nuclear weapons. I don't think they're going to use a nuclear weapon. Don't think that would just be catastrophic. Innocent people would die. The aftermath of that would be crazy. It just, there's so much that goes into that. The after effect into the other countries near Iran. I don't see that happening. I'm just going off of comments I'm seeing and some far people out there that are saying that will happen. Now, if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right that they're not going to use it. I hope these people are wrong, 100%. But he wanted to scare him with that post and show him he means business. Like, just go one extra step further past, to show that we know he's serious, and of course to show them that he's 100% serious. And there is negotiation after 8 p.m. tonight. The second post I want to talk about was the one he put out today. And he wrote, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most significant, important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. Now, the part where it says a whole civilization will die tonight, these could be words to just strike fear, but if the whole civilization is going to die tonight, that means everyone in Iran. I think he's keeping it broad. Maybe he's talking about, the electrical grid, take it all down, everything's down, where they got nothing, it's just a complete blackout. And that's the civilization he's talking about, where there is no civilization, commerce, people, going to the store, people going anywhere, there's no lights at night. He also said in his speech that he doesn't want to do this, number one, because if he does help Iran rebuild the nation, which is one of the first times I've heard him say that, that's one of the most expensive things to do, is to take out the actually entire grid of the country, where they basically have nothing left. No bridges, nothing. I know last night they struck Iran bigger than they ever have last night. And this would be like the final blow. What he means by that, I don't know. I don't think it's the death of all Iranians. I just think it's the death of their civilization. And he left it open like that, kind of for you to figure it out. And if you're Iran, I don't think you want to try to figure that out. So I hope by 8 o'clock tonight there's a deal. I hope that the Iranian people that want freedom can have it. This is just a place where we've never been before in history. And it's a crazy time to be alive. So I hope 8 o'clock tonight there's a deal, or even before that. I don't want to be sitting at 7:50 waiting to see because, if there's no deal by 8:01, you're going to see action. They're not messing around. This isn't like some type of scare tactic. I think the messages were blunt on purpose to show them that we're not, when I say we, Trump's not messing around. It's funny I just said we, it's really not me, it's not you. We're not in charge. It's them. It's our country. Our country isn't messing around. So whatever our country does, we're a part of it. And I hope that this goes peacefully. We get the Straits back. I don't mind taking the Straits. I don't mind negotiating with an Iranian leader that, wants peace. I just don't know if that is possible. Maybe it is. And everyone in the region will be more prosperous and there'll be more peace, because they've been a sponsor of terror ever since the late 70s. Like I've talked about in past episodes, Iran went down a path that it just isolated them from the world. And I saw something, gays for Iran. I'm like, can't believe, I thought that was a joke, and I looked it up and it's true. Gays for Iran. I'm like, they kill gay people anytime they find out someone's gay there. Like, kill them. They actually kill you if you listen to rock music. There was a time where, if you were caught listening to anything, you're dead. Those wrestlers that were killed, they just posted they wanted freedom, and that was enough. They were dead, killed, assassinated by the regime. So we're two different ideologies. I hope we can work this out. We'll be back with our next segment. I want to talk about Victor Glover, the astronaut. He just had some amazing words. He was asked before the mission what he feels like being the first black astronaut to go to the moon. And he had quite the response. And I'm going to roll the clip, but it basically compounds on what I talked about in episode 23. I briefly mentioned the census and, being black, being white, and all these different categories. And he basically just hits it right on the head. So roll a clip of Victor Glover being asked about being the first black astronaut.
This dichotomy between happiness that a young woman can look at Christina and just physicalize her passion or her interest, or even if it's not something she wants to do, she can just be like girl power, and that's awesome. And that young brown boys and girls can look at me and go, hey, he looks like me and he's doing what? And that's great. I love that. But I also hope we are pushing the other direction, that one day we don't have to talk about these first, that one day this is just, and I listen to this, that this is the human history. It's about human history. It's the story of humanity, not black history, not women's history, but that it becomes human history.
I mean, it just couldn't be said any better. And it's kind of like I talked about in episode 23, the census, in dividing people by skin race and where your ancestors came from and all that. And really, it's just about humanity. But if you think about, let's future pace 100 years from now, and they look back in the history books, and people are going to see, like, we refer to certain people as a group based on their skin pigmentation. You're black, you're white. We're all Americans, but we separate each other by skin color. I know it sounds like we've been down this road before, but we're still going down it. I think we're, like Victor Glover said in that clip, we're getting further away from it, but I don't think we're getting further away from it quick enough. But it's a good start with what he said and how he responded to that question. I'm also going to play a clip from all the astronauts in space, and they're talking about the same type of topic, but you've heard other astronauts kind of reference this before when they've been up in space and are looking down at Earth, and they're kind of talking about how the universe kind of just makes you feel like we're all one when you're looking down on Earth. And he actually goes deeper into it than I've seen other astronauts go down when they've been interviewed on this. So let's roll the second clip of Victor Glover talking about being up in space, looking down on Earth, and some of the thoughts he's had.
You have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. I think maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you. And I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing, and that we got to get through this together.
The world's it's an interesting place. You hear Victor talk about how he feels looking down at the Earth. And I think for the most part, the majority of people probably feel the same way. But there are other facets of society that I don't think certain people can grasp that type of feeling. There's so many people filled with hate, so many people that don't look at life with any value. And I think that the majority of people probably will feel the same way as Victor Glover did up there, but they're afraid to act that way. So complete hats off to him for taking the time to try to bring humanity together and kind of taking the attention away from them being up there, letting us know we're on the best spaceship in the world, in the universe. Isn't that great? And it allowed Victor Glover to see how great humanity actually has it. But again, hats off to Victor Glover, hats off to all those astronauts. Just tremendous and a great thing for young kids to see, and honestly for everyone to see. We'll be back with our next segment. And I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but it's actually getting to the point now where something has to be done. Right? It's gone overboard. I was recently with family this weekend and just sitting and talking about some of the accounts they're following and all that. And I happened to check on one, and it was a complete fake account. It had the person's picture, the name, everything, check mark. And they're just posting a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, let me read some of that. And I'm like, this is fake. This is not a real account. And the person that had it is a super smart person, little older, but they can't, number one, find the little tricks to check stuff. And a lot of times these fake accounts are exactly the same looking. For someone that's not real social media savvy, there's a lot of people out there that are smart people that could be getting completely manipulated, that aren't social media savvy, thinking they're following a certain account and they're not. It's like same picture. They'll write the same stuff and then they'll write in parentheses, this is just a parody account. This is just a fan account. But when you're scrolling in your thread and you don't really see that the name has like a question mark or then the name, or an exclamation point, then the name, or a little like small emoji, you're not really understanding, if you're not real social media savvy, that this is a fake account. And then on top of that, the fake account, which a lot of people think is a real account, is putting out a lot of AI crap that people don't have the time to look up and verify if it's real or not. I talked about AI in the past, how you can alter it, just a little bitty thing in it, and it will turn into AI, even if the video is actually true. They do that to discredit the truth by making a completely fake AI video. So it's going down both streets here. But let's just get back to the fake accounts. Now, I think it should be illegal. Like if I impersonate somebody else and I make the account look the exact same, and I can dupe people by posting stuff that the real person typically posts, and then just throw out a bomb post that has nothing to do with this individual. It has nothing to do with their beliefs. And then you get the whole world going crazy. And there's a lot of things behind this. I mean, you don't know if different governments, different factions of political parties are doing this, buying the account, buying the check mark, buying the likes, buying the followers, pushing the marketing of the post. There's a lot of crap going around. Like this weekend, it was like 24 Democrats at Walter Reed with unknown illness. And it was like, President Trump is at Walter Reed. President Trump is dead. And people are like, yeah, it's parody, it's fake. You should see the amount of views it had. 34,000 views, 86,000 views, separate posts, parody accounts with 300,000 followers. So let's just say half those followers are fake. 25, 30, maybe 40% of them are real. And the people are thinking that that's the individual they're following, and it's not. So I think they should have a driver's license. There's ways to do this. if you don't use a driver's license, there's got to be some form of who the individual is that runs the account. What organization runs the account? And then hold them accountable. Because lawsuits are one thing. It's hard to sue somebody if you don't have the time, number one. Who knows who's behind this fake account? It just, there's a lot goes into it. You don't even know who you're suing. But like, it just should be illegal to post somebody's picture and say that you're them. And then the only way to differentiate that is a little parentheses in the profile of your account that says fan or parody account. And there's also other accounts out there that are just putting complete, utter fake news out there. I'm not talking about, like the mainstream media. I'm talking about like just regular accounts that have like 330,000 followers. Like I saw one today, and I mean, you can't even make it up, but this person has 330,000 followers. They have a pretty nice studio. And they're obviously making some sort of money. I just don't know who is advertising with this person. They said in this post that Celine Dion is like deathly ill. They're showing pictures of her. She was real thin, almost like a skeleton, and said something about cannibalism and all this craziness. And I'm looking at it, and it had a ton of likes, a ton of views. And then finally, you get down and it says, somebody writes in there, obviously, is this real? And then, no, absolutely not. This is a completely fake post. I knew it was fake off the bat, but you should see all the comments. Like people like really think it's true, like writing long stuff. And I'm like, geez, man, you're wasting your time. Number one, this isn't even real. Number two, she's touring in September across Europe. Has posted she's in great health and ready to get back on the tour or whatever. And has some type of immune deficiency. Don't hold me to that, but it's something that she has. But what a terrible thing to write, number one, when you know it's fake. Number two, like Celine Dion she's probably got people writing her on her Instagram or whatever. I'm not a huge Celine Dion fan. I'm just a fan of like humanity and like doing the right thing and not, ruining somebody's daily life over false news. This should be completely illegal to do. I know she can sue this person or whatever, but she probably won't. But I think the social media platforms have to do a better job of eliminating accounts and fake news. But then there's like TikTok. One of my videos I did about UFOs, I said that lawmakers and Representative Luna want the UFO files by April 14th. And there's a little video in there. Sometimes I have people make reels for me as well. And they took it down, and I obviously disputed it, and then they put it back up because the information I put out there was 100% true. Lawmakers and Representative Luna did say to the government they want the UFO files by April 14th. There's nothing wrong in that post, but we need to get strict on stuff that's completely fake, starting with X, Instagram. And I know X has Grok, and Grok does a great job for the most part. I mean, obviously, Grok's going to mess up. It's not a human, but it does great research. And you can just, if you have a certain type of account, you can ask Grok if this is true, or look for messaging in the post where someone says it's true. Sometimes you'll find that the person that asked Grok if it was true doesn't have a high enough account to find out. I don't know what that's all about. I think everyone should be able to ask Grok whether they're a subscriber or not, just on the basis of finding if a post is true. So that's something that needs to be changed, I think. I don't think people should pay just to verify if a post is true, because X can't get to every post and verify if it's true or not. And sometimes if you see a post right off the bat on the bottom, it will say this post is not true, and they'll give the information, But with the Celine Dion one, I actually had to go down and just to see, if anybody asked if it was true. Yeah, and of course it says it's complete nonsense, which I knew, but they got to do a way better job on this. It's getting out of hand. And then also the AI voices. Someone can take my voice right now from this podcast, translate an AI, use it as a phone call, and actually call somebody and say, yeah, this person's in trouble. He's over here and he needs you to wire him, $5,000 again, all this nonsense. That can be done so easily, and it's being done. It's being done across the world. And I know one particular person that fell for it. That was a babysitter of mine, and she kind of fell for it and was telling us about it. And I'm like, you can't, you have to have something in place, emergency, like code word or something, whatever. But let's go back to AI and using somebody's voice. So you can take call it anybody's celebrity you want. Maybe you want to attack them or just make money off them with clicks, which I think shouldn't be allowed. You take their image, then put different AI into it, voice, and you think that's completely true. And sure, Instagram has AI checks, and it will say, oh, this might have been made by AI, but let's just say 100,000 people see the video. I would say 50% of those people don't know it's AI. Or have an idea it's AI, but just kind of like, oh man, and now it's in their head. And there's also like vicious videos. I saw one, it was like a Turkish wedding where the bride and groom are at their party and the groom just turns and just slaps the Turkish bride that he married, and they pull her off the stage. It's all, it's nonsense. Look, I'm like, this has got to be fake. And of course it was. And it was a video made, parody video, and it just goes, this stuff goes all over all the time. And it's one thing for the human brain to see stuff like that that's real and the effect it does on people. Then multiply that times 100 with the fake videos out there that are 100% real looking and could also damage the brain, damage the mind, damage thinking, especially for kids and adults. So we have to have some type of law that's passed to fix this with social media. In our sports segment, I want to talk about Cooper Flagg. He's just hit another gear. 50 points. First teenager ever to score 50 points in the NBA. He looks like a solid veteran at this point. And he's getting through his first season. You're seeing the talent. You're seeing the offensive moves, offensive domination. You're seeing defense. You're seeing block shots, assists. You're seeing the whole package. He's proving why he was the number one pick. And there's no way he shouldn't be the rookie of the year at this point. There's some good rookies. Knipple's playing great, but Cooper Flagg, to me, is head and shoulders above the rest. 50 points. Then he follows up the next night in the 40s. First teenager ever to score 40 points in back-to-back games. I mean, this kid's something else. What a prize for the NBA. And just looking around the league, there's a lot of good players that could represent the NBA. And I think bring it back to maybe a level that was near the Jordan era. I'm seeing a lot of promise. But Cooper Flagg, again, how Duke did not win. Get me started with it. How Duke did not win the national title. Having that Duke team, 2 years ago with Cooper Flagg is just still blows my mind. They say, oh, he missed the shot at the end, but it never, ever should have got to that. But he definitely is moved on to way bigger and better things. He's got the Mavericks team playing well. He's becoming one of the faces of the league. Nothing better than the NBA should want in a guy representing a league like Cooper Flagg. And there's, of course, a handful of others. Another topic I want to talk about in the NBA is Victor Wembanyama, Jokic. What a game this weekend. OT, they dueled it out. Jokic hit that shot over Wemby that was just, unbelievable. The height differential it's like kind of like a shooting guard shooting over power forward. That's how big he is. And watching Wembanyama play, it's just like, feel like you're on an 8-foot rim outside, like playing with a bunch of kids and just hammering dunks down. You don't even have to jump. But the cool thing about him is he's so skillful. He can dribble, he can pass, he can hit the three, he can fade on you. He's unstoppable. He's just getting better and better. It's his second season. His first year was cut a little short due to injury, but this kid's just going to be one of the greats to ever play the game. If he stays healthy, can put together 10 to 12 seasons, he's going to be up there in the record books. But this is going to be a fun season. It really is. Fun playoffs, I should say, with Jokic, Wembanyama. There's just so many good teams playing. And I think that's Nuggets won 8 in a row after that OT victory over the Spurs. Spurs are playing great basketball as well. So it's going to be fun to watch. These playoffs are going to be interesting, especially the Lakers in. And it's going to be fun. Another thing I want to touch base too on is the MLB. And I'm going to roll a clip of the White Sox announcer calling somebody samurai. I'm all for it. I don't care. The league got into that type of cancel culture and just really went down that path. The Indians changed their name to the Guardians. What a stupid thing to do. And you got the Redskins in football changing their name to the Commanders, despite nobody really caring about it. There's actually groups coming out are mad about it. Native American groups are mad about not being the Indians, not being the Redskins anymore. The little cancer culture thing happening, and there's still a little bit going on. I guess the higher ups at the White Sox PR team got pissed at this announcer and put him on the hot seat. But I'm going to roll this clip. Now, the player he's talking about has no problem with it as well. But roll the clip of the White Sox announcer saying samurai.
There it is, crushed into center field. Here comes Caro. He will score easily. An RBI single for the Southside Samurai.
I have actually no problem with that announcer, what he said. I love announcing like that, excitement, nicknames. Stacey King does it with the Bulls a lot. It's fun. It brings fun to the game. That's what fans want. That's what fans like. It's just so many people that work for these sports teams. They get out of college. They come from these universities. They graduated with cancel culture all infested in them. And they get their marketing degree. They go work for these teams. And they're like think tanks. That's why sometimes you get like a PR nightmare for certain companies. Most of them are from kids that are getting these jobs out of college that went through the heart of cancel culture, and they just don't really have a good grasp on what the people really want. And they make mistakes. And you've seen it a few different times. Bud Light was one of them. There's other ones, Cracker Barrel. It's just two big mistakes. Not knowing who your audience is, who your clientele is. And I'm not tying these two things to the White Sox, but it's got a similar kind of cancel culture thing. It's still trickling around. So these people that graduate during cancel culture, just give it up. It's over. Nobody wants it. It's no fun. I thought it was over. So I'm in 100% support of this announcer. The player doesn't care, thinks it's funny, doesn't have any problem with it. So let's move on. But now that I'm on the White Sox, I have a lot of issues with the White Sox because this is a franchise that's been around forever. Go all the way back to the Black Sox years, Shoeless Joe Jackson. You know, if you're a youngster, you never see the movie 8 Man Out, go rent that movie. It's awesome. It breaks down how big the White Sox were back in the early, 1900s, 1919. And they had the iconic Comiskey Park. Could have been a historical monument if they kept it. I'm a Cubs fan at heart. I grew up on the north side of the city of Chicago. And I was always a White Sox fan as well. And people are going to go, no, you weren't. No, we were, because the White Sox and the Cubs never played each other. They didn't do cross-league games. So both teams were terrible. Both teams never made the playoffs. Both teams are always lost. So you'd watch whatever game is on. You watch all the Cubs games during the day. White Sox had a lot of the night games. Watch them at night. You'd root for both teams. They never played each other. And if they did, it was a spring training game or one of those crosstown classics that counted as a preseason game on the regular schedule. And they would only have minor leaguers playing. They wouldn't have their top players playing, and they wouldn't throw their pitchers long. It was just like a spring training game in the middle of the season. But once they started playing together and playing against each other for real, then there was North Side versus South Side and all that. And that's when I became a Cubs fan only, and I would root not against the White Sox, but I'd root against the White Sox when they played the Cubs. And I did have an issue when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005, strictly out of jealousy. That's all it was. I was hating on jealousy because I wanted a Cubs World Series so bad. We just went through the Bartman nonsense. We were fresh off of that. Cubs 03 debacle, Game 6. But now that the Cubs won a World Series, I don't have any hate on the White Sox anymore. I root for them if the Cubs aren't playing them. I root for them if the Cubs aren't in the playoffs and the White Sox are. But I'll always root for the Cubs over the White Sox. But let's go back to the franchise. The Chicago White Sox really are screwing that team up. They're getting better this year. They have better players. There's kind of like an upswing to them, hopefully. You'll see. The stadium is not a good stadium. Even when they built it, the seats were like this. I remember going, there was people scared to go up and sit in the upper deck. And then they fixed that. It's just a blob of concrete to me. The old stadium, it could have been a Fenway. It could have been a Wrigley. But it's not. It had its characteristics. You can hit a ball on the roof at Old Comiskey Park. You could have expanded it. You could have renovated it. You could have kept it what it was. But people are all about the new ballparks. And the only two teams that's kept true to their word was Wrigley Field and Fenway Park. And they'll never rip those things down. Now they're national monuments, so they can't. But what a great move by both those teams keeping the stadium. And the Yankees are the ones that really missed out on that benefit of having a historic stadium. They got caught in the tail end of getting a new stadium, and there's nothing like Yankee Stadium as well. They should have just renovated it, built around it, expanded, never ripped it down, and made it the house that Jeter built, the house that Ruth built. That should have been what they did. And I remember posting about this a while or commenting on a post, and so many people were in favor of this. But back to the White Sox. They're in a shitty area of Chicago. That area is not a good place to be. Bridgeport has its good spots at times, and if you go further down, get to like 101st, 105th Street, keep going down, 110th Street. They have a good Irish parade there. It's fun. Those are nicer areas. To be honest with you, are scared to take the L in general in Chicago, let alone the red line all the way down. I'm going to play a video of somebody on the red line. But the White Sox, I don't know, they need to move somewhere else in the city. They've been talking about this for years. I've heard rumors of Nashville. I don't want that to happen. It just, bad decisions were made. And then they changed the name to Guaranteed Rate Park and all. The White Sox are a historical team. They're not like a brand new team. They're historic. There's baseball history to that franchise. And I don't know why they can't find a way to make money on the Chicago White Sox. Some of the comments we've gotten on some recent social media posts, and they're all clips from episodes I've done in the past and some of the real current ones I just did. But we'll start with the Kid Rock controversy. We got a lot of messages on that from all platforms, and I'm going to highlight one I got and kind of summarize some of the other ones I've gotten. Obviously, people on the far left are really concerned about the helicopter gas that was used in this training mission because they flew so far out of their way to do a few second flyby at Kid Rock's house, even though they have no idea what the mission plan was, where the helicopter was flying, how far off course it actually went. But they're so concerned about the gas and the taxpayer money on the gas. But I hear crickets when all the fraud is being exposed in all these Democrat-run states and cities. Why are you concerned about that? Why are you so worried about a little bit of gas from a helicopter that military guys are on a training mission? But I'm going to read a comment from Private MC. He wrote, a rough estimate puts training a pilot to fly a Black Hawk helicopter at $360,000 to $750,000 in hundreds of hours of flight time. Who thinks we should throw all of that out the window because he hovered in front of Kid Rock's house for a few seconds? It would only be okay if it was Springsteen's house. Is it government waste that upsets you, or just the political party and musician supports? It's pretty well said. Yeah, why would you suspend somebody that's flying a Black Hawk helicopter when we're doing such an important mission in the Middle East for a flyby of Kid Rock's house? And like I just said prior to the comment, you're so concerned about a little gas, taxpayer dollars that waste on a little bit of gas. It just baffles my mind. And this commenter is right. If they flew by Springsteen's house, it would be probably not covered by Fox News, Newsmax. Maybe it would. Maybe I'm being too hard on them. But it definitely would have been covered by CNN, MSNBC, and all those networks because they're left-leaning and it will look, it's a cool thing. But here's the problem with that. I 100% agree with this comment because no one would have said anything. It would have been great news for all these media outfits, but I still hadn't had a problem with it. Big deal. Do I like Bruce Springsteen? I like his music, some of his songs. I don't stand politically with him. If I saw him on the street and met him, would I shake his hand? Of course. I'm not like hating Bruce Springsteen. I've never met him, number one. He's got great music. He does put on a good show. but I don't align with him politically whatsoever. But it doesn't mean I'd be all mad at Bruce Springsteen or all mad at those pilots if they flew by his house and did a flyby. So everyone's got to relax. I 100% agree with this private MC's message. Let's get to the next one. Now, I did a segment on birth rates, and I don't know. I don't think people listen because people are so fast to just like, they get like a little blurb of the information in their head and they just like scatterbrain and they go and like write something back. And like the clip was played full from front to end. I commented on it. It was about I'd say a 7-8 minute segment. This person writes 9% of 330, he wrote million. Anyways, it would be 29.7 million. It's 330,000 children were born. In 2023, that's 9% of all the births in 2023. 9% of the births equaling 330,000, not million, were born to illegals. Tourism babies. So I just had to cover that. I saw another comment because once one person writes a comment, the other one puts it down and then it goes into a math equation. I didn't do this to explain to you that 9% of the births in 2023 were. The next comment I want to talk about, somebody wrote, rock radio is dead. It's been dead for a while. A lot of stations switched to country. The only rock stations play mostly 80s and 90s hits. No new music. It's sad. Yeah, I agree. Most radio stations that actually get listeners are playing, 80s, 90s, some early 2000s music, but mostly 80s, 90s. 80s to 2000s hits. That's basically it. And reasoning behind it is the music of the new day of rock has kind of lost its way a little bit. It wasn't being commercially pushed at all. There has been some good bands out there that made some good music that easily can be played on the radio or put on the Spotify Top 100 or the Apple Music Top 100, but they're always way down at the bottom because they're not commercially pushed whatsoever. People aren't kind of looking to it anymore, gravitating to it. They're all gravitating to the old legends. That's why these tours sell out. The old legends, the old rock bands, the bands that can fill stadiums are only ones that get big tours like that because fans, young and old, still want to hear the music. But at some point, we have to give the new music a chance to grow and develop. They're not getting the commercial push like they used to. And there's some good music out there. But also, if you look to it, like some of these pop stars, 90s, 2000s pop stars, they all want to get rocky, though. They love rock. It's more exciting to them. They love to jam with the band. You always see that like at the music award shows. I don't think anybody watches those anymore, but I've seen clips of them. And like you'll see like Miley Cyrus, who sounds really good, actually, like jamming out, whole rock band behind her. She's all grunged out like 1994. There's a want for it. It just somehow the music industry's got to come together and get some new minds in there to make it happen. And also the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, I think is one of the coolest generations of rock. And I've talked about it because even the bands that were all technically in the same genre, they all sounded so different. I mean, rock was just, this alternative rock. And then there was, and before rock was just rock. And then it started to separate alternative rock or grunge rock. And bottom line is rock was at its best point compared to some other genres. 70s had some great rock too. Regarding the same topic, the first one, I wasn't able to completely verify this, and I'm not saying it isn't true. I just came across this comment kind of late. But first off, Jeffrey Epstein, I didn't know this. I guess you should search every state. But he won the New Mexico lottery as well. The same trust, Zorro Trust Fund, LLC, whatever, won the New Mexico lottery as well. I won't give the girl's name out that pointed this out to me, but first name is Destiny. But thanks, Destiny, for that. That was some good advice, good intel. I had no idea. And then there's another commenter that posted the gas station where the ticket was sold was owned by the same guy who owns a percentage of one of the companies that prints the tickets. So again, like, this is confirmed in the Epstein files, not the Intelligence Signal Watch claim. Maybe it is. I didn't find it. I didn't put enough time in investigating his claim, and I'm not saying his claim isn't true at all. I can't say it's true or not true, but it's pretty, makes you wonder. And if you win the lottery 2 times in 2 different states with the same LLC, something's got to be up. Somebody's got to be on the inside on both of these wins. You know, it's not random numbers being drawn. It's the numbers that probably weren't drawn and given to Epstein, or his trust LLC, whatever. But if you don't think now that the lottery is fixed when the same guy's company takes a hold of the winning ticket anonymously in New Mexico and in Oklahoma, you got to be crazy. You got to just be like have blinders on. I already thought from him winning it once it was enough for me, and I was already sold on it's all rigged. But to win it twice, and if this information from Signal Watch turns out to be true about the tickets, that's just showing how he did it. At this point, it's like, to investigate the fact of how he did it, it's not going to be too technical. It's somebody that's in the inner circle of the lottery that got paid off to make this happen, no doubt. But I'll be back with my next segment, and keep sending your comments. There are some that are just, people get so mad and they just call you names and stuff. It's like just makes me laugh. I don't know, maybe it makes you feel better, but I can imagine ranting of somebody calling them names if I didn't agree with what they politically believed in, or sometimes their beliefs aren't even political. They just are. I guess everything's political now. So whatever you believe, it's got to be left or right. Like, it's never center or you're this or you're that. But keep sending them. My team sends me a lot of them that seem to be worth reading, and they're actually contributing to the show or contributing to what I'm doing. And even if you don't agree with me, I'll put those up there. Especially, I had to put the math one up there. Got to read the posts. Got to listen to the reels a little better before you comment.
The Wily Wire segment where Brandon asks, "What the fuck is this?"
Our WTF segment is wild. At least the first. Both stories are wild, but the first one is just crazy wild. I referenced the Red Line train in my brief coverage of the White Sox in the other segment. But anybody that knows Chicago trains knows that they are electric. There's a third rail that if you touch it, you instantly die. You'll get an electric bolt right through you. I haven't rode the L in a while due to safety, it not being clean, tons of drug users on there. It's a shit show. There's videos all over social media about the trains now, L trains in Chicago. The Metro trains are great. I've used those all the time. They're great. But the L trains are just a disaster. But back to the WTF. When you are on an L train in Chicago, the last car, they don't have like a barrier where you won't fall out. There's like 4 chain links. That's all you get. You're not supposed to open the door anyway. You're not supposed to go out there. But This individual went out onto the train that's going like 70 miles an hour and was just hanging forward on the chains. This is the type of stuff that's going on Chicago L trains, not the Metro, the L trains. And it's absolutely unreal. You would never have saw something like this 15 years ago. I would even say almost 10 years ago. But the last 10 years, the craziest and most wild things have been happening in Chicago that you just didn't see. Like I saw somebody on a bike riding through express lanes. I mean, you could just see tons of stuff. But this one is pretty crazy. Roll the clip of the individual on the L train, the red line in Chicago, hanging off the back of it.
That shit not funny. Off the fucking train. The red line gotta be stopped, bro. He got to be stopped. Gee, that shit not funny. That shit not funny. Gee, if he fall, Jesus. Off the fucking train.
The people that were in the car that filmed that were like freaking out about it. Because they knew like what could happen if the guy falls off. One, he could die right away just from hitting the ground. But two, like if he's going to touch the third rail, he's probably going to get electrocuted. But you can't, I mean, you couldn't find individuals 10 years ago to even try something like that. So you got to be rocked out on drugs. You've lost your mind. But you see so many people that seemingly lost their minds that do things that are just like insane. But I mean, that guy, hopefully he got arrested. He probably didn't. Who knows? I don't have the time to look it up as I don't really care. Because even if he got arrested, he probably got let out right when they booked him. So it doesn't matter. But the next topic I want to talk about is Eric Swalwell's back in the news. This is the guy that threw the shot at Portnoy. I talked about him. He's running for politics in California. He's just, guy's nothing but bad press. It just finds him. He's the guy that had the Chinese spy Fang Fang infiltrated him when he was in DC. And he's at it again. So apparently since 2019, he's spent over $200,000 in basically daycare. So same thing like, I have daycare for my child. We get the monthly bill. We pay the monthly bill. I can't write that off on my business. Daycare. But it gets worse. So apparently the last, however months, he's been paying his wife the money for the daycare. So the kid's probably staying home with the wife, and she's getting paid from the campaign money he's made through donations to pay for daycare. He's literally writing the checks or making the transfers to his wife's name from his campaign. So I guess since 2019, it's over 200 and some thousand. Look up the numbers, but it's at least 200,000. And then they had a breakdown of the last 3 or 4 transactions. It was like 1,400, 1,800. You look it up. It's like $6,000 the last like 3 transactions this year. So it's getting investigated. But this is why we do WTF segments. Because I'm going to say this with full confidence. Why would you want an official in your state representing you, the people, that doesn't even know how to run his own campaign's finances? He's willing to move money from his campaign for daycare. Like, I'm no accountant or finance guy, Only finance I do is check my bank account. But I do know this. When you own a business, and I've never run for political office, I never will, but I do know off the top, you can't use campaign finance funds for personal things that don't pertain to the campaign. You can't have a child care written off for your business and pay your wife. Can't do that. It's common sense. So right there, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Swalwell's a Democrat, don't be an ant. Don't just brush this aside because he's a Democrat and you're a Democrat. Find another Democrat. Because if you're not smart enough to know not to do this, what are you going to do when you get in office? But this guy is just one thing after another. I don't know how he's still running politics. The Fang Fang thing should have ended his whole political career, but it didn't. Thanks for watching episode 24 of The Wiley Wire. We'll be back Friday with episode 25. Like us, share us, follow us. Share your comments at The Wiley Wire. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying wired. And hopefully on Friday, this conflict in Iran will be settled and the straits will be open and we can get back to some normalcy in the world. If not, we're going to have a lot to cover if more strikes, lethal strikes happen in Iran. We'll see you on Friday.
The Wiley Wire dives into sports, music, politics, health, and trending topics for entertainment, info, and education. Listener discretion advised. May include mature themes, explicit language, controversial views, or sensitive content. Not suitable for under 18 or all audiences. Parents, please supervise. All opinions from hosts, guests, and contributors are personal and don't reflect our official views. Information isn't guaranteed to be accurate. Do your own research and consult qualified professionals.